I just put a short video together showing a build that I did several years ago. This build got a lot of attention. It was a 1987 CR250, one of my favorite years ever. Really appreciated these bikes when they came out. Here's how it looked when I purchased it in Lancaster, Hesperia area. The bike was not running. A guy had it in his backyard in a shed and was able to fully restore it. This is how it looked before I sold it. This is how it looked when I picked it up, the day that I picked it up. So knew this bike was going to need a lot of work, but felt like it had a good core, had the good bones in place. It wasn't long before I started tearing it down, taking the plastics off. So somebody had painted the frame white, which was kind of that early 90s look. It was quite a bit of work to restore it. But basically took all the plastics and everything, put them in bins, sold this pipe. This is one of the old, this is the old header pipe. I was able to sell that on eBay. But here's all the parts and pieces that ended up in bins. So here's an engine stand that I built in my shop for doing the work on the engine. So the bike was not running. And when I got it apart, it was pretty obvious that it had been run out of water and got really hot. There was water in the crankcase, and that could have just been from sitting over time, but the crank bearings were shot. The crank was in pretty good shape, so I was able to clean it up. The water pump and other components were shot, so I replaced the crank bearings, cleaned things up, and put this engine back together. I didn't put a lot of work into the engine other than the top end. I replaced the entire top end. Then I started on the swing arm and the chassis. Here I am getting the chassis together, did some work on the forks, just mostly cosmetic work, and then started putting the engine back in the chassis. Bought some GPI radiators that I do on a lot of these projects. They will run pretty well. Got some new blue plumbing that went well with the look I was going for. Initially I had painted that head blue, but I ended up changing that out. So here's the first look at the plastics on there loosely, and then I got the bike together and got it all buttoned up, went to start it, and it would not start. So it would not even hold water, and took the cylinder off, took it to LA Sleeve, had them pressure test it. It failed the pressure test, so they gave me a new cylinder core, bored it, and fit it to my piston. Here I am loading it up, taking it to my mechanic, and then I did some final work on it and was able to, here's the first start and it running for the first time, and shortly after was able to take it out to Paula, and I think this was the day I broke it in, and then was able to, once I had everything broke in, was able to ride it. Here I am on the bike, just out of Paula, riding it fairly easy, but I was impressed with the low-end torque of these bikes. The power valve I got working really well. I cleaned all the carbon out, and I was just really impressed. The other thing I want to add is that I was able to, the pipe that you see on there is a DPR pipe that I got out of the Netherlands, but one of the things was the wheels. So the wheels were needing work, and it was really bothering me. It was the last thing that I wanted to do. So I went ahead and broke these wheels down, cut the old spokes off, and just went in and reconditioned the hubs, put new bearings in the hubs, refinished them, sanded them all down, repainted them, and then I relaced the wheels and built the wheels from scratch again, put MX33 tires on the front and the back. So I mentioned that I put a DPR custom-made pipe out of the Netherlands on there. This is the pipe that I got off of eBay. A lot of people ask me where I get that pipe. So here it is sitting next to a 2004 CRF250 project that I did. And that was pretty much the end of the project. Rode it a few times. Took it out to Paula a few times. Was able to get it out to the track and make sure that it was in good running condition. Ended up selling it to the Boyle family, who has a museum in Newport Beach. And here I am the day that I sold it to them. So that's the story on this 1987 CR250. It's still at the Boyle Museum. Overall, this project got a lot of attention, people at the track. A lot of people just really appreciated this bike, so it was a fun project. So I hope you enjoyed this video and the process of this build. SoCal Honda Build did several projects that are available on this YouTube page, so feel free to reach out to me or leave a comment below. Thanks.